So, from talking to you and hearing from you, I think you're more advanced in your move to e-learning than perhaps other groups. But often we're asked, you know, how can I use e-learning in dental training? How can I use e-learning in medical training? To the group the other day when I was talking about in the medical school, I was trying to convince them how to apply e-learning in medical education. I asked them to take 2 journeys, and I'm going to ask you to do the same. When you look at your, and I'm taking this experience from what happens in Australia, when we look at our curriculum, whether it's medical curriculum, dental curriculum, science curriculum, every year, I mean, do you have a curriculum review committee? You know, I'm not a committee person. But what we do in our committees, and what we have done, is we look back over the last 5, 10, 15 years, and we look at the curriculum, and we just alter a little bit as we move forward to suit the new requirements. And I would, sorry?
We are updating here.
You're doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I call that an evolutionary type review. I think the time's come now where you have to take another journey. And that is a journey where you have to look at a different world. Because no longer, and there's reasons for that, and I think I might have them on the, and we can go through this quickly. When you look at what's happened in the last 3 decades, this is applied to Australia, but I'm sure if you think about what's happened here, we've moved to integrated curricula where students, this is preclinical students, they would do physiology, biochemistry, anatomy all together, and they'd do systems, whereas they wouldn't do it in isolation anymore. We have problem-based learning now in our curriculum. We have curricula that is what we call core or essential, but we also allow special study modules that allow students to move into various areas that they might prefer. We have outcome-based education. You know, this applies to Australia, but I'm sure you could look at some of those and it may apply here. On top of that curriculum review you have to do, you've also got new demands. We're constantly changing our healthcare. It's changing all the time, and we have to meet those changes. We have to educate people about those changes. There's significant change and advances in dentistry specialties, cosmetics, and you would know this more than I. There's increased pressure and public expectation. Down here, there are increasing demands on us as teachers, and there are increasing student numbers, and that's come in Australia, and maybe here. High student numbers, more demands on us to teach, but no more money. No greater salary, no more funds to teach these students. So what do? We can no longer teach traditionally. We can no longer give lectures and labs to 300 students like we did before with only 100 students. So we have to make this step. We have to look at this other world that I'm talking about. And that other world is going to be e-learning technology. And you know what? It's going to actually mean that we look at our curricula, and it's going to mean, and I can see it in everyone's face, and it was in my face, we're going to need to do things that we really don't think we want to do. It's against our natural nature. But unfortunately, we're going to have to say, no, to be successful, we're just going to have to make this big step. Against our wishes, like I did, but from my experience, I'm glad I did in the end because it paid off. But I had the same obstacle that perhaps you're having. The reason why, because I explained before, it's flexible and convenient for the student, the Y generation student. Do you know what a Y generation student is?